Good evening. I'd like to welcome all of you who are here to celebrate our beloved Sandy, our nurse's nurse, as I've heard you called. My name is Maureen O'Brien. I'm one of the staff chaplains here at the University of Maryland St. Joseph Medical Center. Before we begin this evening together celebrating Sandy, I would like to begin with a reflection on nursing, something that Sandy has embodied for us and for our patients here and so many other places over a lifetime. And so we begin with the blessing, and I'm using it from the book To Bless the Space Between Us. You see worlds breaking at the onset of illness. In this fragile frontier place, your kindness becomes a light that consoles the brokenhearted, awakens within desperate storms that oasis that serenity calls for. The spirit to rise from beneath the weight of pain, to create a new space in the person's mind where they gain distance from their suffering and begin to see the invitation to integrate and to transform it. May you embrace the beauty in what you do and how you stand like a secret angel between the bleak despair of illness and surgery and the unquenchable light of spirit that can turn the darkest destiny toward a new dawn. May you never doubt the gifts that you bring. Rather, learn from these frontiers wisdom for your own heart. May you come to inherit the blessings of your kindness and never be without care and love. For you are among us a profile of compassion. May it be that way for you and your family as well. And to this we say, amen. Now I'd like to welcome Dr. Smythe.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's great to be with all of you today. Maureen, another beautiful reflection. It's great to have Sandy's husband, Rob, here. Sorry that the kids couldn't make it, but on this very special occasion, you have a phenomenal group of colleagues with you and friends, which is terrific. You know, St. Joe's, if it's about anything, it's about tradition and history. And the challenge with COVID over the last 2 years is that it has challenged us to continue these traditions. Typically, a tradition like this, Rob, would be, there are 6 people inducted, 3 nurses and 3 physicians, and we would have a huge celebration outside with several hundred people and so on. And it's a wonderful celebration of who we are. What I love about the last 2 years, as we've continued the tradition, is that we get intimate ceremonies. We get ceremonies that are really special. To hear 6 beautiful reflections, the 5th of which we heard today, and to be able to hear some much longer, more intimate remarks are really special. And so God always gives. You just have to look for what he gives. I want to tell you a little bit about the Profiles of Compassion. In 2014, we initiated as a hospital the Profiles of Compassion Society to recognize exceptional nurses who have shown truly extraordinary commitment to our founding Sisters of St. Francis of Philadelphia's ideals of reverence, integrity, compassion, excellence, and stewardship. The nurses in this society emulate the sisters through their excellence in nursing combined with daily expressions of love in caring for their patients as well as their colleagues. They are truly the best of us. I think we would all agree. Tonight, we have the distinct pleasure of inducting Sandy Bryan, RN, into this extraordinary group of nurses. A little bit about Sandy's history. Sandy grew up quite a ways from UM St. Joseph, 4,233 miles to be exact, in Munich, Germany, where her father was stationed on an American Army base. Like several other recipients of the Profiles of Compassion and the Healing Hands Guild, Sandy's journey brought her to Baltimore to Johns Hopkins Hospital, where she graduated from the nursing school in 1970. Sandy was entering the field of nursing at a particularly exciting time, especially in the field of critical care, which she found, I think, intense and rewarding. And what a better place to gain experience in critical care than at the nascent R. Adams Cowley Shock Trauma Center at the University of Maryland Medical Center. Sandy had the good fortune to be at the forefront of this now world-renowned Center for Emergency Critical Care, R. Adams Cowley. I would love to hear some stories about R. Adams, Sandy. I've heard quite a few from Senator Kelly in the past, so I need to get your perspective. R. Adams Cowley and his colleague, Liz Scanlon, a nurse every bit as pioneering as Cowley himself, were launching innovative and revolutionary protocols for trauma medicine. Sandy was learning from the best. It was a wonderful and enriching experience. After a decade at shock trauma, Sandy transitioned to the Baltimore Cancer Research Project, what is now known as the Marlene and Stuart Greenebaum Cancer Center, part of our own University of Maryland medical system. The work was absorbing but could often be heartbreaking. Sandy worked at Greenebaum at the center in the early 1980s, and I was in medical school at Hopkins, and talks about how you cared for many AIDS patients. And this was literally right in the beginning of that pandemic, which lasted, as we know, for a very long time. Seeing so many young people die from this terrible disease definitely took an emotional toll on so many of us, including Sandy. And so as it turned out, Sandy's need for a change in location was our good fortune. There's a particular part of her story that I love. She knew that St. Joe's was going to be the place for her when, in 1988, on her way to her interview, Dr. Maksumi, who many of us know, who was the director of our critical care service at the time, held the elevator for you and asked Sandy to ride up with him on your way to your interview. I think Dr. Maksumi's small kindness from many years ago speaks volume about who we are today and how we developed our mission of loving service and compassionate care as a catalyst for a wonderful career for Sandy at St. Joe's. Since she came to St. Joe's in 1988, Sandy has been caring for patients in our post-anesthesia care unit, also known, of course, as our beloved PACU. Here, she is able to use her skills in critical care and also draw on her well of empathy for her patients who, quite often, are frightened and in some pain as they are just coming out of often very complex surgeries. So many of your colleagues in the back share those same incredible wells of empathy, don't they, Sandy? They really do. Although Sandy has been at this nursing thing for quite a while, a little over 50 years, she has no plans to retire at this time. She says simply, "My life is richer by being a nurse than by not being a nurse." Very simple, very straightforward, very, very true. I cannot think of a more beautiful, personal, and ennobling reflection on the nursing profession. Sandy, on behalf of an incredibly grateful organization, I want to personally congratulate you on your well-deserved selection as a 2021 Profiles of Compassion Society inductee. We are all so grateful for the commitment that you made to St. Joe's more than 32 years ago and the lasting impact you've had on our organization. Congratulations. And now I'd like to invite Dr. Michael Marion, our Chief of Surgery, to the podium for a few remarks.
Thanks, Tom. On behalf of the medical staff here at St. Joe's, I am truly honored to be here this evening to witness Sandy Bryan's induction into the Profiles of Compassion Society. What a tremendous honor. I think most of us in the room will agree that nurses are amazing people. Their work is so very critical as we come together as a care team to provide the very best comprehensive treatment for patients who are relying on us, making sure that our patients are well in body and soul, setting St. Joe's apart from the rest. Sandy is a fierce patient advocate, a nurse who shines on the front line, at the bedside, bringing comfort and excellent care to our postoperative patients. It would be overwhelming to try to count the number of patients and their families that Sandy has touched over her astounding 50-year career, or even just those who have passed through our PACU doors. But I'd be willing to bet that all of those patients share a deep gratitude for the way they felt cared for by Sandy as they awoke from anesthesia. This is the energy that Sandy brings to her unit, unwavering, day after day. You wouldn't be surprised to learn that previous honors included the Daisy Award for providing excellent patient experience, and Sandy is well deserved. Sandy is committed. She supports her colleagues by arranging in-services for the PACU staff and has participated in a week-long rapid process improvement workshop. And at the height of the pandemic, when elective surgeries were curtailed, Sandy staffed the donning and doffing unit on our COVID ward, and then assisted in the COVID command center, working 12-hour days for 6 weeks. Sandy's committed to her family as well, working to help put 5 grandchildren through college, one of whom is a nurse. And a final example, she has had 3 separate wedding ceremonies, all to the same man. Right, Rob? Now, the last one, you'll have to ask Rob and Sandy about yourself, but I understand some details include a lake and not much clothing, but that's all I'll say. We often look to St. Joe's True North to lead our daily work, guided by our patients, our colleagues, and our community. Sandy embodies these virtues every day. It's why we are all here tonight. Sandy, in more ways than we can count, you exemplify St. Joe's mission, vision, and values in your day-to-day work. You should be extremely proud of this great personal and professional recognition. Congratulations. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Nicole Beeson, our Chief Nursing Officer, who will offer some perspective on the values Sandy brought to our organization and during her years of service. Thank you.
Dr. Marion. Thank you. And hi, Sandy. Congratulations. And I would like to say on behalf of the nursing here at University of Maryland, St. Joseph, congratulations and thank you for your service. You clearly have made a mark on so many. And so, you know, Sandy has exemplified her excellence in her career here at St. Joe's through her work in our PACU in touching countless lives. And we all know that PACU can be a truly challenging area requiring dynamic skills and really highest level of adaptability. And so patients come out of these serious and complex operations and require acute attention, very direct care, very focused skill set. At St. Joseph, our surgeries really cover a vast array of specialties and a wide breadth. And this, you approach this with such a diverse skill set. You know, in your time here, Sandy, you've shown clinical excellence in your own nursing practice, but also at the heart of your nursing excellence stems not only from your clinical skill, but also the level of compassionate care you provide all. And so for each and every patient, I'm told that you say the same thing to them. My name is Sandy, and I'm going to take care of you. That's exactly what you do. You take care of that human being. And so, can you imagine how comforting these simple words and that simple act of kindness is for these patients coming out of what may be a very traumatic experience, and they find comfort in you? And so, as there you are, creating a personal connection, bridging that person's first step into healing. Their path forward starts with that. And so, Sandy, I'm so grateful for the care that you provide all of our surgical patients, and so proud that you are a member of our team at St. Joe's. And at this time, I would like to call Francis Garrity to come forward because he has the distinct honor of inducting Sandy Bryan into the Profiles of Compassion Society. Congratulations, Sandy.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me here to give this honor to Sandy today. It's going to be a little difficult following after all those comments because some of the things have been said, but I'm going to add a little different kick on things. I'm very prejudiced towards Sandy, and there are a lot of people that feel that way. I have known Sandy for, probably 32 years or more, and she's never changed. And all that they have said in the past of care, she gives that to everyone in every way she can. She is a person that when they developed this award, they had to keep Sandy in mind because she deserves it. She has given in so many ways. Sandy started in the recovery room years ago as an agency nurse, and we thought, oh, we got another agency nurse, but boy, what a cut above. You can't ask for better. I look back at the times of rough times, and Sandy always had the power and the kindness to ease things, to make things more comfortable. As we've said in the past, you have gone to your patients and you said, I'm Sandy Bryan, I'm going to, yes, you do care. But I don't know if they really care, understand that the care that you give is so individualized. You give it to all of the patients, all of their families. But let's step one more side. You also give it to everyone that you come in contact with, everyone you work with. You, in every way that you have worked in nursing, in management, in all those areas, 100% and above. I hate having paper, I'm sorry, but it just, I didn't want to forget too many things. It is a joy for me to present this to you. It's an honor that I got it. I still can't believe at this point that I did. One thing, I was getting love notes from my wife, Beth, who worked with Sandy for many years. One thing I did hear was the one thing that made you feel comfortable. I'm glad to hear about Dr. Maksumi, because you think of him and it always makes you feel good and you get a warm spot. But the one thing that you think of was Sandy, when she came here, she said, I really like it here. I can put my things down, my bandage scissors, my personal things, and nobody bothers them. I do like it here. Well, we like you here too, and we're very thankful for that. The years that the years have gone by too quickly. We have worked with Sandy in all different fashions. Sandy has been so tough on every way of learning for us, and we think, oh gosh, here she goes again. But you know what? She was right. She always helped us improve. She always looked at the staff as she worked with the staff, never above the staff. You can't beat that. Trying to think of other things here, Sandy. Other situations. You always, in the positions that you've had, would not been easy in positions and have had rough times, and you have handled them beautifully. And you can't, from a nursing standpoint and from a nurse's standpoint, you'll never know how much in kindness that meant to all of us. You do give your 100%. Let's see, Sandy, anything else I can say? Couple personal things where Beth and I were very lucky and very, very blessed to go on a trip with them. They're great travelers. You can't beat going when we went to Disney. I'll never grow up. I'll never grow out of loving Disney. But I'll never forget sitting in the front seat of the car, and I don't know whether I was in a grumpy mood or whatever, and all of a sudden, all this kind of dust was coming at me. And you never forget that. It's just when Sandy came to St. Joe's, she brought all of the kindnesses that she gives to both the patients, their families, her family, and her hospital family. And she also shared everything that she has learned in the past. And I know everyone feels the same way. I'm so glad that you got this award. One other little thought, one little kindness, and probably too much information, is that every morning when I get up, I know I'll cut it. It's your turn soon. My only thought is every morning when I get up and I look at Sandy does beautiful needlework. and the needlework piece that we have, I look at every day, and it's a treasure. It's beautiful, and I'm not prejudiced. But it says on this, and I'll leave with this thought, accept this from a friend whose love will never end. That's the kind of person that she is. Thank you, Sandy. Congratulations. Would you like to come up? Congratulations, love.
Thank you, Frank.
My pleasure, my pleasure. You deserve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. I'm feeling so humble, and I want to say thank you for everybody's kind remarks. There's no way I could be standing up here without each and every one of you, and so many more. So I have a lot to say, but it's big font, so you don't need to get but so comfortable. My husband said I should start with a joke, but I couldn't think of one that fit the occasion. And then I thought, this is a 911 moment, because I'm pretty nervous. At least I'm in a chapel that's inside of a hospital, so I could not be better positioned. So I'm not a public speaker, I'm a nurse, and I do my best talking at the bedside. And Nicole, I try to say pretty much 100% of the time, hi, I'm Sandy. I'm going to take good care of you. And I felt really self-conscious when I first started saying that, and it came out of staff satisfaction, some kind of satisfaction score. You know, but one of them was, did your nurse and did your physician show caring? And that was, I think, the question that was asked of our patients. So I thought, well, we didn't score as high as I thought we should have, because I know we do care. So I thought I'd plant the idea that we do care, and after I said it a couple hundred times, it started feeling more normal. It's like saying thank you for choosing St. Joe's. Like, you know, sometimes you feel a little like self-conscious saying that, but you say it enough, you get used to it, and it seems more natural. So I want to thank my husband, Robbie, first of all, for listening to my countless stories over the years. We've been married 51 years, and I did marry him 3 times in 1970, and each ceremony was quite different. It's not easy being the spouse of a nurse, but Robbie took pride not only in my career, but in his. And the words that come to mind when I think of Robbie are forbearance and love. And thank you so much, honey. So I want to begin by sharing a story that hasn't been told. Sister Marie Cecilia was CEO at St. Joe's in 1988 when I came here as an agency nurse. And I was burnt out after 20 years of pretty much high-stress jobs. And I wanted to see the big, wide world of nursing, so I signed up with an agency. And I had been sent to many different hospitals, and I came away with the idea that nurses everywhere seem to work very hard and care a great deal about the quality of the care they delivered. But when I came to St. Joe's, I was really touched by the way nursing rolled out, the way medicine rolled out, the people that I encountered. Anyways, finally I got to the PACU. I was assigned there, and I felt really at home. Sister Marie Cecilia was making rounds one day, and this was when we were much smaller. There's no ambulatory building or Irwin Center. I don't know, there's one tower, and you went up and down this tower. And she saw me, and she knew I was new, and she asked me my name, and I told her, and I said I was an agency nurse. We weren't really very well loved in the hospitals. But you know what? When she came around, she would remember my name and say, "Hi, Sandy, how are you doing? How are things going?" And that made such a great impression. So I love being a PACU nurse so much that I took a job at another hospital and their PACU. And the PACU staff, my last day here, had brought in baked goods and a card to wish me well. So I took this job because they were paying 10 cents more an hour. Nicole, eat your heart out. And they offered me a little less rotation to evening shift. So I took this job and I worked there a week. And at the end of a week, I came in the following Monday, and it must have shown that I wasn't, real happy, because they brought a welcome Sandy cake in, and I said, oh, we need to bring this in the office. And I told them I wasn't a good fit here, and I came back to St. Joe's, met Dr. Maksumi, interviewed, and was hired. And the rest is history. But both of these events I remember clearly, because I remember how I felt valued and appreciated by both the staff and the PACU and then the CEO of the hospital. And after a week of my new job here, I began to feel really part of the team. I learned everybody's name. I was on the schedule, and that made me just feel really included. I returned to St. Joe's because of the spirit, and that's spirit with a capital S, not a spirit with a little s. So it's really the foundation, I think, of what we do rests on. And to this day, I think it's still evident. This is a vital part of the organization and underlies really everything we do, especially my colleagues, the people I worked and I met, my patients who entrusted us with their well-being, and our community that felt like friends and neighbors and that we were part of and committed to. Dr. Smythe, thank you for taking these concepts that have been here for so long and giving them voice and actually creating a mural, a beautiful mosaic, and for visitors to St. Joe's, take a moment to look at it. But these embody the principles that have been part of St. Joe's in the past and continue today. And thank you for leading us in this direction. I also want to thank the leaders that have carried us in a good northerly direction. Nicole, our CNO, Larry Moore, Director of Surgical Services, Sue Mitchell, who's my manager in the PACU, and Ann Queen, our PACU clinical leader. Ann has many skills and talents, but one in particular is appreciated by the PACU staff. She's going to hate me for saying this, but I have to. Ann recognizes the important events in her life, and she does whatever she can to adjust staffing to allow us to attend unplanned events. And thanks for helping me get to lacrosse tournaments and badminton championships and things that were scheduled after we had made our schedule. And I don't think I ever missed something that was near and dear to my heart. And because of this, Ann, we have a trickle-down culture where when something unplanned, the census goes up, somebody's sick, I don't know, night shifts, kahooey, people volunteer. And I don't think this would happen without the commitment you made to the staff, and I want to thank you. I want to thank my family for their support. I have 2 children, 7 grandchildren, a great-granddaughter, and a dear daughter-in-law who just broke her foot. My daughter just had back surgery. The kids are at colleges and out of state, so they couldn't be here today. My sister, Patty Smith, is also a nurse, and we traded many stories over the years. If my family knows anything about health care, they know to wash their hands. I want to welcome and thank my friends Megan and Walter Shook. They've been friends for over 50 years. Megan and Walter may have rolled their eyes as I proudly talked about my career as if being a nurse was the most important and impactful career anyone could have. But they've stuck by me and are here today, and thank you for coming. I want to recognize some of the nurses who are part of my story, and this is by no means inclusive. First of all, I want to recognize Janet Rohr. I oriented Janet to shock trauma in 1973, and in those days there was no preceptorship training. In fact, I don't even think we were called preceptors. I don't know what they called us. But anyway, generally the preceptor was somebody who had worked there a week or 2 longer than the person that was coming on board. But somehow we muddled through it. And Janet worked the rest of her career at trauma, first in the CCRU, the Critical Care Recovery Unit, and later on in the ORs. And we shared many stories over the decades, but we've loved each other through the good times and the difficult times. And thank you, Janet, for coming. And Carol Ellis, she was once our clinical nurse educator in the PACU. And I used to think of her as the encourager, because Carol, you lifted us all up, even when there were, like, we were doing things for the first time. We were doing, do you remember we had the bolts in the head, and we're measuring intracerebral pressure, and we did that on a dime, and we did we had 3 neurosurgeons at the time, Dr. Smythe, and doing a lot of complex stuff, and Carol, you just were there for us and got us through and taught us what we needed to know and stood by our elbow as we practiced new skills. Thank you. And today, Carol is Director of Nursing Practice, and really, you're lifting the whole organization through your work. Mary Hubeck, I don't think could be here today. She's in Montana, but she was already working in the PACU when I came, and she's been orienting me for 32 years. Mary's a certified nurse, and I love the way she draws on her knowledge and her experience to explain how she would address a situation. Beth Garrity was part of a study group for PACU certification back when we met on Saturdays to present topics to each other. What year was that, Beth? Do you know? 98, right? We all passed the test and became certified nurses, and we also were active in ASPAN, which is our professional organization, and served in different capacities to really further the practice of peri-anesthesia nursing. And I want to recognize Frank, Beth's husband, who has worked in the PACU and then in the operating rooms, and who had the very good fortune to marry Beth. Mabel Bagley was a nursing tech, and Mabel isn't here today. She retired, but I came to depend on Mabel to help settle my patients and to keep up with their care. One day I asked for my Mabel, and I never heard the end of it. I didn't mean she was mine, but we were a team, and I always appreciated her helping me get patients sorted out just the way we wanted. Janet Peluso, my good buddy. We've been through some really tough times together, and we've overcome them all. But Janet made the leap. She was a critical care nurse to outpatient PACU, and that's quite a chasm there. She made it seem easy, and she still does. Janet's a certified ambulatory peri-anesthesia nurse. When there's a question on how to handle a tricky situation, I, and along with a lot of other nurses, usually go to Janet for advice, and Janet continues to help on-board nurses these days. Kathy Cruz has been my colleague for over 30 years in both inpatient and outpatient PACU. Kathy was never just about the nursing task. She was even more interested in the people she cared for and cared about. And thank you for coming, Kath. Norma Ganell and Jackie Zeiler are what I call the nurse's nurse. They're all about the patient and every interaction. And when I think about how I want to be as a nurse, I think of them and how they are. Norma and Jackie are what I call 100%ers, those nurses that are 100% there for the patient, the family, and each other. And Josephine Rivera is not here today, but she supports the PACU with homemade baked goods every day she works. Who does that? Who even makes anything anymore, you know? So Josephine is there to help with admissions. Recently we had an inconsolable crying toddler. I mean, it was pretty painful to listen to. It was so awful that the mother started crying. Josephine was not the nurse of record, but she went over and in her calm, unhurried way helped smooth the situation until both the mom and the baby stopped crying, and we were all very grateful we could think again. There's so many people I could list who've impacted my career, both personally and professionally, and I appreciate those folks immensely. I'm grateful to have been part of their lives too. But I want to acknowledge the young nurses who are practicing today. Theirs is the future, and it's reassuring in a world with fast-paced change and so many challenges. I know that I'll need to stop nursing someday, and I don't look forward to it. Nursing has given my life great meaning and purpose. I have felt proud to be a nurse and proud of nursing as a profession. It has been my joy to be a part of the story of so many people during a time when they are vulnerable and depend on our loving service and compassionate care. And I'm grateful to those at St. Joe's who've been part of my story. Thank you.